Malevelon Creek. Day 3. That night during day 2, Jaune and Carden found a massive automaton base where it was surrounded by satellite bases with the mortars and anti-air. They did hit and run tactics where they eliminate the smaller bases first by hitting it with rocket launcher and then disappearing into the woods and coming back from a different angle. They prioritized taking out the AA guns, and with that they regained access to Eagle strikes. Eagle 1 was given more accurate coordinates after the first debacle. This time they carried only rocket pods, strafing runs, missiles, and 500 kgs. Jaune and the rest had difficulty traversing the field with a new addition to the enemy's arsenal as towering turrets fired upon their advance. Alpha Squad lost 2 Helldivers during the operation, as Galloway documented all the way. Jaune and Carden, along with Galloway, are what remains of Alpha. They made sure the bots paid their due, as they showered the remaining heavy base with 500 kilograms bombs courtesy of Eagle 1. The squad focused on taking out the fabricators as they saw bots being built fast. Once they finished with the base, they fall back once again to regain their bearings. When the morning came, they made their way to Bravo Squad. Bravo Squad's last known position. There was no one to be found. Jaune, Sergeant Ryukong. Son, are you guys still here? A hand rose from the bushes and they saw Sun, Neptune, and the remaining Helldivers all bandaged and covered with mud. The survivors regrouped for one last battle. Sun and Neptune was finally able to rest as the shock was evident on their faces. Carden, that's your last day, Sergeant Ryukong. Jaune salvages everything they had left, getting expendable launchers, recoilless rifles, and machine guns. Carden, final count, only 7 of us made it out, including Galloway, sir. Then Sun and Neptune walked up to them. Sun, sir. Permission to rejoin the line. Jaune, granted. He marched back into position. Neptune, sir. The skies are clear. We can extract. Jaune, carry on, SGT. He followed Neptune and assumed overwatch. Jaune, when the enemy sees that Pelican, they'll be right on top of us. We need everything we have left. Hand out the last of the ammunition. Carden, sir. Day 3. Once the day starts, the Helldivers made a break for a clearing and sets up defensive positions. Destroyer. Support stratagems are back online, boys and girls. Make good use of M. Alpha Squad called an autocannon and rocket sentries for anti-armor and air while everyone was packing rockets just in case. Then an extraction pod lands as Jaune calls in an extraction. Destroyer. Extraction confirmed. Shuttle arriving in 2 minutes. Jaune, you heard the man. Carden threw a breaker at Galloway. Galloway, sir, I'm a non-combatant. Carden, there's no such thing today. They heard something from the trees. Sun, the trees are speaking binary. Orbital barrage on the way. He threw a stratagem 300 meters west of their position. Play Muisk. Carden, ladies and gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves. He raised his revolver and started unloading at the bots coming out of the forest. Neptune threw a stratagem at the bottleneck in front of them. Destroyer, fortifications on the way. Once a pod dropped, it deployed a massive amount of landmines as it tore apart all the bots charging at them. Once the tanks broke through the trees, the Helldivers replied with an onslaught of rockets, making quick work of them. In response, Hulk bruisers came barreling in as the divers remained undaunted as they shared their launchers and tore the walking behemoth to bits. Alpha Squad gave it everything they got as they fire into the bot army. Galloway surprisingly shown skill in shooting as he stood amongst the divers. He could have joined the SCF. Jaune, give it everything you got. The divers kept fighting until the heard the words they needed to hear. Destroyer. Extraction inbound 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Extraction has arrived. Clear the landing zone. Pelican 1. I heard my woman gave you guys a helping hand. Here, let me do the same. Hop on. Feel free. Your barge is near the ship for a bombastic exit. Seeing that the bots are dangerously close, the wounded was brought in first as Neptune followed, then Sun and Carden. Jaune was the last to go as he threw every stratagem he had left from 380mm orbital barrage and 500 kilograms bombs. Once he stepped on the Pelican, spirited away the divers to a long-earned rest. Pelican 1. Okay, honey, do your thing. Eagle 1. With pleasure. She and the rest of Eagle Squadron started a bombing campaign followed by orbital bombardment from all available destroyers. Alpha Squad, who will later be dubbed as the Creek Divers by new recruits, are able to fight for another day. Later, SES Wings of Freedom. Once the Pelican was brought in, the divers all walked out and was absolutely exhausted. Neptune was crying as Sun gave him a hug as they were all now breaking down.
1.
Carden just sat and just fiddles with his revolver in a way of coping. John walked up towards the bridge and found Galloway sitting in a corner. John, I'm glad you made it, son. Galloway, yeah, me too. Sir? John, I can't forgive myself. Galloway, for what, sir? John, that my men died, and I didn't. Galloway, I don't know how to tell this story, sir. John, you have to, Galloway. You need to tell the people back at home how my men died and what they fought for. Galloway, I will, sir. The people of Beacon and the rest looked on in horror at the state the divers came back. It was a miracle that any came back, even if it was just 7 men. Ruby tried to go talk to John, followed by Pyrrha, only for Yang and Run to hold them back. Ruby, Yang?
What?
Yang. They're in shock, Ruby. You can't talk to them right now. Ren, they need time to process what they went through, Pyrrha. They're going through trauma. Pyrrha, it's that bad? Ren, you fought those things for a brief time. They spent 3 days in that hellhole. The two gave up trying to speak to John as he was going through a lot. Another victory for managed democracy, but it was a costly one. Day 3 was over.